Hello, everyone, and welcome to May the 20th regular Legislative Committee meeting of the town of Vegreville. Call this meeting to order at 3 o'clock. Okay, first thing on the agenda, I'll be looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor, carried. Next up, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular meeting. Councillor Warawa makes the motion. Is there any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, carried. Okay, so our first delegation is Tyson Peterson. He's from the CAJHL. He's the president. So if you click on the package in your agenda, you'll get to see the presentation, and we have Tyson live on the screen. So Tyson, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We certainly can, sir. Nice to meet you. Tyson, where
You too. Like I said, don't.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Where are you from? Where are you at today?
I'm at my shop here in Lethbridge. I live in Fort McLeod. I'm 36. I got 3 boys, age 7 and 13. Me and my wife, and yeah.
Nice. Well, okay, let's hear more about the plans for the Canadian American Junior Hockey League.
Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going off the presentation here. Canadian American Junior Hockey League, we're working on some expansion into the U.S. here. Probably won't happen this season. Looking at next season, we have potentially 4 to 6 teams looking at leaving the USPHL Premier. So that's on the books for next season. The Cal started in 2022. Founders from Alberta in the U.S. We had 6 original teams. Today we have 6 confirmed, hopefully, 5 confirmed, and then if you guys come on and a few other guys that I have meetings with tomorrow, we could have up to 10 confirmations. Our huge, like me purchasing the league, I bought the league because I'm sick of the instability. And all just about the kids, not about money, not about scamming people or anything like that, just strictly about the kids and give them a safe, reliable place to play that for years to come, right? So I purchased the league in doing that, and we're going to buy team buses to keep the cost down for travel, or league buses to keep the cost down for travel, so then we can cap our fees at $6,000 per player. So we're not having to charge outrageous amounts for kids to play hockey. And we're going to offer financing for our players for fees. Coming to the town, as you can see, as we go down the presentation here, we focus on development and advancement. That's one of our main priorities next to community involvement for our players. My wife and I, we strongly try to teach these kids that if you want the community behind you, you have to be behind them. So we put on, as you can see, we put on things like a shoot to score in intermission. We do a snow angel program, food bank night. We would be interested in doing a town of Vegreville night for you guys, where you would all, as an organization, design a 3rd jersey. You would get to do all game day activities, a ceremonial puck drop. All your employees would get in for free, and we would auction off the jersey to a charity of your choice. Just a way to show our appreciation for letting us into your community and such. And then, you know, we got other things like we would do a food bank night, and we also do food drives and bottle drives and donate percentage of those proceeds to the school's activities or the communities and such, in the food bank, of course, right? And then we just like to bring family-friendly entertainment, youth mentorship and inspiration. We want the kids in minor hockey and in the community to want to be there and get autographs from our players and watch our games and look up to us and say, I want to play there someday. So in that, we got to play clean hockey and set a good role model example. So we would send kids out on the ice for minor hockey to help out with them and everything. Um, we have teams. Like I say, we're working on the U.S., so we're working on getting people to come into the communities from all over, and players from all over the world, overseas in Europe and stuff. So we're getting the communities noticed and on the map more by doing this, and people are spending a little bit of money there and such as well when they come. So I feel it's great involvement on many different levels for the community, right? We use a lot of daytime ice usage, so you're looking at probably 30,000 or so revenue for the daytime ice that sits there. We have lots of like different auctions and raffles that we would do, and like I say, 30 to 40K per season in revenue. We cap our player fees at $6,000. Players from all over the world, Europe, the States, Canada, Eastern Canada, Western Canada, local. We got our own streaming service, so we would be putting that in the rink, and we would offer that to the minor hockey teams and figure skating and stuff like that as well, and build like a separate page for the community to stream all the games and practices if they want and everything. And then the town would get a cut of the revenue that comes out of that for the monthly subscriptions and whatnot. And then we would be doing a showcase, either entering a showcase somewhere or putting one on. So we may be asking the towns if they're interested in, working together with us. Instead of an all-star game, we want to do like a weekend showcase or a 5-day showcase or something to, help the communities by generating extra revenue instead of just a single all-star game, right? So those are a couple things. And then, like I say, I'm the owner, and Brian Brown is just an interim commissioner as of now for the league until we find someone else. I'm working on a new commissioner. His name is Thomas Skelton. He used to play a like high level hockey, university and stuff, and he coached for the University of Oregon, and he's a remote goalie coach for the ECHL right now. And he's also a principal at the high school in Elkford, so he's a very good role model and positive figure for the community. So he's going to come on as our commissioner. I'm just trying to iron out all the pay details with him and such. And like I say, we're coming in here wanting to leave the community and anything we touch in better shape than when we left it, right? So I'm sure you guys can all read the presentation. You don't need me to read it all word for word for you.
Yeah, we've all had it here, Tyson. We've read it, and of
Yeah.
course, we're experienced with the league. We had the Vipers in town here for a couple of years, and it was a good performance by them. We understand what they brought in terms of rentals at our rink, and how good they were in the community. So the Vipers are now, the team has been sold to a different community, and you're wondering if you might find a new owner to bring a team here. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I own the Vipers.
Oh.
I bought it off Brian and the league off Brian, and I'm actually going to just keep the Vipers there as me as an owner for now until I find someone that I feel is adequate and sufficient and on your guys' level based on your approval, of course, right? If we do sell the team, right? But I would like to keep the Vipers name there.
Oh, wow. That's really, we heard a different story.
Yeah, it was originally that we were going to move it down south, but now that you guys come in possibly interested in having us back there, I don't really want to change anything like that, right? I think it would be positive for the community to keep it there, because like you say, it wasn't too negative of an impact, I don't think, right?
No, not really. There was a little bit of, a little bit of bad blood between the junior B and the junior A team, and then some parents from minor hockey got involved and stuff, but overall, it was a good experience, I think, and
Yeah, and we don't want that bad blood. We're gonna try to work with everybody and not step on no one's toes. Like, I want the junior B team to respect us and we respect them. You know, like we got to work together and be role models for the community and the young kids growing up in it, right?
well, I'm pretty sure that's what minor sports and what it's all about. Yeah, it'd be.
Exactly.
Hey, does anybody else have any questions for Tyson or anything that you've not covered here? Go ahead, Councilor Roa.
Hi, Tyson. Thank you. I guess what I'm looking for when we're making our decisions is always kind of what is the ask. So, I mean, in fairness, we're always interested in having anybody here. We've always opened up and said we'd be willing to have opportunities, but anytime a new user group wants to come in, they kind of have to come to us with an ask. And if that ask is that, you know, I have my team and I want to have them here, I think that's what we'd want to hear about, but we'd want to know what you're asking the town to consider, because obviously that would be step one. So just anything you could tell us on that.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. So yeah, we would love to ask you guys if we can have a home in Vegreville, not just for a season, but for many years to come. And we don't require a ton. Our ask is basically some 4 to 5, 1.5 to 2 hour ice slots during the week, some evening weekend slots for games, like 4-hour slots, maybe one a weekend on average. Might not be every weekend, but we're willing to work with your guys' schedule and everyone else's as we plan the league schedule. And then dressing room, as long as we could just put something temporary that's sufficient to your guys' liking so it doesn't look gaudy and ugly outside of a door that gives us entry to the arena, we would be sufficient with that, so it's not a permanent structure or nothing, because I totally understand with the junior B and the minor hockey and all that, there's not enough facility rooms to go around all the time, right? So, and then just advertising on the ice and stuff, I don't ask for, like, I don't want it all, because I know minor hockey and junior B and stuff gets that, but if there's any way that we could get some sort of advertising in the rink for our sponsors and stuff, that would be great. If not, I totally understand. I can figure something out, right?
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Rudick.
Hi there, it's Janine Rudick here. Excited to hear that you're planning on staying in Vegreville. We were, as a community, very fortunate to have a really active group of volunteers, and the Vipers were able to use our facilities and add some value to the community. My question for you is similar to Councillor Warwas, just about the specific ask, maybe on the other side, just encouraging as we move forward with the conversations that there's really active conversations between the town and yourself, just to ensure that we have seamless, open communication as we move forward, just to ensure that our user groups' goals may not be all in alignment, but council's role is to ensure that our facilities are used to their maximum capacity, and making sure that everybody has a positive experience interacting with our staff. Whether they are able to work things out amongst themselves is another story, but just encouraging you to keep those lines of communication open with our staff and make sure that the town is the one that's delivering the message, because we enjoy having an active group like the Vipers here in town.
I appreciate that, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I'm 100% open to open communication. Communication is what makes things a success. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what it is, right? So I'm a firm believer in like weekly or monthly meetings in person, on the phone, whatever you guys are inclined to, right?
Sounds great.
Okay, well, so Tyson, we'll have a conversation here during our meeting about your proposal here, and we'll get back through our manager of our rec department And you two will have another conversation if there's any more questions that council wants to bring forward.
Okay, sounds very good. I thank you so much all for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great day.
You as well. Okay, quarterly progress reports. Seed Manager, Jameson Brown.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Bear with me here. All right, so quarter two progress report as it pertains to Community Engagement and Economic Development Department. And I'll hopefully be going in order of what's in your packages as well. So we'll start with the event hosting funding that we requested for in last budget. Obviously, it is a budgeted expense, presently on track. We had asked for $12,000, and to date we have spent $10,000 of that. Right now, planning for the world's largest egg and spoon race record attempt is well underway. Note the event date, Saturday, August 30th, 2025. We strategically selected this date in order to align with Alberta Day grant opportunities, and those opportunities were actually just recently announced by the province. They had asked for expressions of interest, and our tourism coordinator, Michelle Gladys, is presently working on that. So this would be the second time we've applied for this funding. The first time it was actually announced a few years ago. We applied and received $5,000. We're certainly anticipating receiving that same amount. It is capped in terms of the population of the municipality. So 5,000 is the max we could get. So we're crossing fingers and toes and certainly anticipating good news on that front. With that said, we have signed a contract with the Guinness World Records to facilitate the official record attempt. Agreements have also been secured with the egg farmers of Alberta to provide 3,000 eggs at no cost for the event. We've also secured agreements with Acoustic Acres for PA equipment and DJ services, as well as Q Films Media for professional videography and photography, which is, of course, a prerequisite to ensure that this record attempt is properly documented and then vetted through Guinness. The next steps for this is going to be the aggressive event marketing and continued logistics planning. Any questions as it pertains to that?
Councilor Rudick has a question.
This is exciting.
Which came first?
Yeah, pun not intended. I was just going to say this looks interesting and exciting, and the cabinet shuffle on Friday gives us a new minister for sport and tourism, who is no stranger to Vegreville. It might be nice to send that invitation ASAP to new Minister Boychenko. He's been here multiple times before, but as a friend of Vegreville, that might be a timely invitation to include him. He might want to be part of something that's going to be a little bit different than some of his other invitations. Be nice to have him back here.
That is a fantastic idea. I didn't actually see that. I guess Minister Boychenko now had taken over that, but we have, as you've alluded to, a kind of a pre-existing relationship with him, so we will definitely be sending that invitation out. Any other questions before I jump on to the next one? Okay. So next in your package, I believe, would be the enhanced advertising and marketing. The strategic goal, obviously, pertaining to growth. This was, as we discussed at budget time, a budgeted expense. The status is on track, and the expected completion date is December 31st, so the end of the calendar year. The estimated budget for this, $75,000, and to date we've spent $20,000. Progress update, the EIA adjacent, or Edmonton International Airport adjacent, QE2 billboard has been extended through Q1 and Q2 of 2025. Print advertising campaigns are underway in Edmonton publications, including Info Edmonton, Summer in the City, and others. Smaller digital campaigns are running throughout Q2, with a more aggressive campaign launch or planned for June. Next steps, an aggressive digital campaign will launch in June and run throughout the summer months. The campaign will focus on three key areas: tourism, living in Vegreville, and of course, something that we've already been doing quite extensively over the last 18 months, sales in Prosperity Industrial Park. Any questions?
Oh, sorry, we got one, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. Just wondered what you have for hits to the site, extra followers, et cetera, due to that. Because that sign, it's a good looking sign and it's in a great spot.
Yeah, great question. In terms of data to the website, we've certainly seen an uptick. I will say that over the last 3 months, prior to the last 3 months, we were receiving regular phone calls or inquiries, or in people investigating investment opportunities. We have seen that slow down, but my guess would be that that's got less to do with the billboard and more to do with the state of economics right now. There's a lot of questions when it comes to major investment. I don't need to belabor the point, but what's going on in the States certainly has some people second guessing any major investments. With that in mind, though, what we're anticipating, and if the data and the news stories out of the States are any indication, a lot of Canadians are canceling plans south of the border. So the hope would be that we leave that billboard up throughout the summer months and catch some eyes of other Canadians that may be traveling through Alberta as opposed to going to the States or elsewhere. It just doesn't seem to be a good idea to take that billboard down heading into the busiest travels season of the year, and what could be a very busy travel season domestically anyway.
Good.
Okay. Next is the Pesica branded merchandise. This was the design of the park or a logo that we own that we could then put on T-shirts and whatever have you. We had asked for $5,000. Obviously, it is a budgeted expense. It is on track. To date, we've spent $648.38. That was just the initial payment to the designer of this. And actually, just recently, in terms of the progress update, in collaboration with the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board, a final design concept has been selected. So this was a very collaborative project in working with the representatives on VTAB. We wanted to make sure we were getting their feedback, their thoughts on the design. So we went back and forth with the designer quite a bit over the last few months, and certainly Councillors Lemko and Councillors Curtis can speak to that process. But we've finally nailed down what we think is a great looking design. Looking forward to having that on shirts and whatever swag that we think may sell at the Visitor Information Center in the coming weeks. And that obviously would be the next step, is putting that stuff on shirts, hoodies, bags, whatever. We had some, great discussion at the last VTAB meeting as to what we think might be a hot seller, and you'll be able to see that merchandise on the Vic or in the Vic for sale in the weeks ahead. Questions? No? All right. Extended hours of operation at the Visitor Information Center. Budgeted expense, it is on track. It started officially May 12th, so I don't have a lot of data to pass along your way. The estimated budget for this was $15,000. The reason why it says cost to date, NA, was while we were putting this report together, we were in the first week of the additional hours for staffing. So by Q3 update, I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it. But in essence, the Visitor Information Center opened for the season on Wednesday, May 7th. We waited that first week to just get the staff's feet wet and then launched those extended hours on Monday, May 12th. The new hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. If you will recall, one of the reasons why we wanted to extend our hours was we were getting a lot of negative feedback because we launched the ice cream sales, but we closed at 5 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and people were a little irritated when they couldn't get down to buy ice cream in time. So, so far it looks to be paying dividends, though, as it's very early on during the first week of operation at the Vic, May 7th to 11th. A total of 752 visitors were tracked. 353 actually entered the Vic. Ice cream sales reached $1,041.74. That's up significantly from the same time period last year of $169.48. So just having those hours extended by default where, you know, the kids are out of school and maybe after supper, mom, dad, the family can swing down to the Vic and grab some ice cream has already paid dividends. And from what we understand this past weekend, despite the chillier temperatures, also very, very busy. So Pesica Putt Putt also opened in time for the Victoria Day long weekend, and I'll have more data on that as the season progresses. Pedal boats opening this week and continued extended hours of operation throughout the summer months. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
You got the scoop.
Wayfinding signage. Growth, quality of life, people, and culture. Those were our strategic goals when we came to council asking for this. It is a budgeted request. Expected completion date, September 2025. Estimated budget, $150,000, and then an additional $90,000 totally grant funded for a total of $240,000. And again, we were confirmed as a recipient of the province's Small Community Opportunity Program grant in mid-March, securing an additional $90,000 toward this project. Since then, we've met twice with Cygnus Wayfinding to discuss the RFP process for select sign fabrication. As the original designers of the Wayfinding Master Plan, Cygnus will remain actively involved in the project moving forward. Our next step is to post the RFP on APC and elsewhere for the end of this month, and the project is anticipated to be awarded by mid-June. Any questions?
Yes, Councillor Rudy would like to know, will we see any signs before the fall?
That is one thing I'd like to, I'm going to look back at my emails for when we did this back when it was two separate boards. Tourism and economic development were two separate boards. And then they were back together and then they're broken up again. Excited to see this happening. Will we see signs in the ground this year?
I have stressed to Cygnus, and they are fully understanding of the assignment. I'm going to say yes, you will see signs by the end of September, very early October. Believe me, this is certainly something that I'm well aware of in terms of its past. It predates my existence in this chair, but I was, as maybe you'll remember, Councillor Rudick, a part of the Vegreville Tourism Advisory Board prior to my time as a town employee. So even just as a passion project, I'm looking forward to getting this done and off my desk.
Excellent. So exciting how quickly we move in municipal government.
Aside from that question, are there any others as it pertains to this?
No, we're all looking forward to it.
Okay. Just very quickly, a few other just department notes. Ongoing conversations with businesses and industry regarding interest in Prosperity Industrial Park and 75th Street Business Park. You know, we've had discussions pertaining to one of those potential investors, obviously in closed session, but without saying too much, we're anticipating announcements pertaining to some of those conversations in the coming weeks. I met with one of those businesses on Friday just for an update, and it's looking very promising. Another exciting update, first time in the history of our website that we had surpassed 10,000 page views in back-to-back months. So the website continues to be a point for information for both residents and visitors, and continues to become a very popular option, and is a way for us to track in terms of just interest in Vegreville and how people are getting information. And then finally, it was released earlier today. This is dating back to a project last year, the additional power at Pesica Park. Wi-Fi is now available free of charge to all of our visitors and residents through MCS Net. This was something that we've been working on for quite some time. They needed power near the Pesica Putt Putt site, and you now don't need to worry about data or lack of connectivity at the park, thanks to MCS Net and the partnership that they have with the town of Vegreville. That's officially underway now, and that will also enhance some of the offerings at the park, including potential enhanced security measures. That to me is a very important thing moving forward, but the first step was power, the next step was Wi-Fi, and we'll see where the possibilities open up from there. Any questions?
Go ahead, Councillor Warwa.
Actually, that's great to hear. I'm just wondering, is there any hours on the Wi-Fi, or is it 24/7 access?
It is 24/7 access.
Okay. I mean, I think everything's trial and error. We're going to have to see how it works. I think there potentially will be movement of certain people towards the 24-hour easy access to Wi-Fi, which may create some challenges or whatnot on its own, but overall I think that's going to be a great thing to be able to advertise, even advertising to your campers or potentially people who would commute and to work but know that they'd have Wi-Fi there, so that's great. And you may have sent this already, Jameson, but just in regards to the logos that was selected for the merchandise, if you haven't and you can circulate it to the council, that's great.
I can absolutely do that. Because the meeting was just last week, we're waiting on the final designs in terms of the actual images. So I actually was hoping to have them by today, but unfortunately, as soon as I have them, I'll send them your way, and you guys can have a general idea what they'll look like. Thank you so much.
So your point being that we may be inviting people to be at the park at 3 in the morning for Wi-Fi?
Yeah, just, we already have some people who access it at different areas because they can get close to, say, a certain building and have Wi-Fi or whatnot, which sometimes, and this may not be a thing that causes anything. It's just stuff for us to watch, whether there is some additional people making their homes in our Pessinka Park area because of some of the access that they can get.
Well,
Things to watch. I know they had a little bit in Edmonton when they we're adding, now I'm trying to think of it as Rundle Park or which one it was. Oh, it's the one that's by the stadium. It's to there when they had Wi-Fi, there was some, additional people making their way that way. They saw a little increase, but we are different. We're not in the city, but of course we are experiencing some of the problems that we once upon a time didn't think we would have out here, right? So, and everything's gonna be trial and error. We're just gonna have to see if we have any issues going forward.
well, one part of the putting in this hotspot was so we could enhance our security.
Yeah.
But if we're inviting people to be on our cameras, you never know.
We just have to play it by ear.
Was there any other questions for Manager Rowling? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So up next, are you leaving, Dan? No, we're gonna have a conversation, but Sandra will convey our thoughts on the other issue back to you. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Manager Newton of Protective Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm here today to provide a quarterly progress report as well for the Protective Services Department. For Q2, the Alberta First Responder Radio Communication System, also known as AFRAX, we currently have budgeted $25,000 from Council and an additional $10,000 from Enbridge. We're on track with that for the second quarter. Right now, we have our new communications officer assessing our needs of where to place the next set of radios. We are looking at the mobile radios. Those are the ones that go into our units. So we're determining what units will require them right away. That'll include our new unit that will be coming here shortly, that will have one. So we can reach out to our mutual aid partners, and we're also just doing a study to find out how many radios we're going to move forward. We put the radios to test a few weeks ago. We had multiple fires in place during that time, and we were communicating with multiple mutual aid partners. So we were requested into Lamont County, where we were able to communicate with them, and we were requested into Minburn County at the same time while we were able to communicate with them. We also lost radio communications on our current system, just from portable to portable, due to the distance away from our towers and just the way that everything was working out that day, coverage of weather and everything. So during that fire to the south, we ended up switching over to our AFRAX radios to communicate with our dispatch center as well. So it worked out great for us. Two Hills has recently just gone on with AFRAX as well, the county, so we'll be updating our agreements with them and then reprogramming our radios to make sure that we're able to communicate with Two Hills when we have a mutual aid agreement with them. Any questions on that, Your Worship?
No, go ahead, please.
Thank you. The next upgrade is Engine 1. We've received all equipment for our Engine 1 except our two battery-operated fans. So that included our SCBA extra bottles because the current unit doesn't have those extra bottles. The lighting for that, the portable lighting, and mentioned just the small things, but the battery-operated fans will be arriving here in August as the supplier has upgraded us to the new fan that they have coming out. at the same price as the old, so we won't see any budget increase in there, which is great for us. And once we have that all in place, members will be trained in their use. Upon arrival, the one thing that I would like to add, Engine 1 should be arriving here by June 1st at the latest. The new unit will be here. It is our fire chief and our manager of municipal services is currently in Winnipeg as we speak, doing the final inspection of our truck. They're going to be sending that down to Calgary for the Alberta Fire Chiefs Convention this upcoming weekend for other fire services to take a look at our truck, and then it'll be delivered to us.
Any questions on that? Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. Just what's the cost to date? I know it says on budget, but it sounds like you have most of it in your possession. So are we right on budget? Are we under? Are we over?
We'll be under budget for the most part. I didn't get the final number before making the presentation, but everything has been within the budgeted amount. There won't be any overage whatsoever.
Thank you.
Next is our replacement hose. We do have most of our replacement hose. There is a back order, unfortunately, on the 65 millimeter hose. That's a larger diameter hose that we use for supply and attack. That's coming from our supplier, and they anticipate by end of August we would have that last bit of hose there. But everything else has been placed into service. We also have that hose available for the new truck when we're ready to go into service. PPE reallocation is going great for us. We have 2 sets of bunker gear that are on purchase for our current members. We have received our sweatpants. We're waiting for our t-shirts. We have received our boots. Now we're all wearing our boots. There's a bit of a back order on there just due to the fact that the boots were sized differently than we expected. I'm a 10, or a 10 and a half, I ended up being a 10. Some people were 13, ended up being 11. So the supplier's been working out with us really well. We're returning everything that wasn't able to be issued, and they're sending us back the appropriate sets. It's been a seamless project, and people are really comfortable with the boots and really happy with the boots that we received. Those are our duty work boots, not for firefighting, but to wear around the hall to make sure that we have adequate protection if a tool drops. We have the appropriate footwear. We're just updating some quotes because, things change on a yearly basis, so we're just making sure that we're within budget before we continue on with purchasing, but everything seems to be going well right now with our vendors. We did have one issue with one vendor that wasn't getting back to us for a number of months, and then they finally did get back to us and stated, unfortunately, we can't set up an account with them. They're not set up for that, so we may have to do with a large credit card purchase, but that'll be something that I'll be talking with the finance manager regarding that. Sorry. And that would be my quarterly report, Your Worship.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Lemko.
Always nice to get a new fire truck in the hall. New hose. Do we still do hose testing in the spring and cataloging all our equipment and keeping track of that?
Yes, absolutely, Councillor Lemko. We do that on a yearly basis. That's where we determined a lot of hose had to be placed out of service because they were failing those tests. And then a number of hose hasn't been reallocated over a number of years. So we have been placing, we'll be placing in the budget more hose as we move forward after this large purchase, and that way we continue that.
Okay, Councillor Rudy.
This is not related to the items that you updated us on, but thank you very much for especially being on budget or below. That's always nice to hear. More specifically to your department, I've noticed positively having the peace officer out and about, sometimes at unexpected hours, which has been very appreciated by some of the community members that are noticing some unusual activity, a lot of people out and about, so it's been great to see him, thankfully. Haven't experienced it myself, but catching those that are speeding and or making sure that back alleys are secure and safe as there's potentially some folks wandering around. The question that I've had from other people is, how do those that are in protective services work together in consort with the RCMP? And when it's after hours, who should they call? because I've noticed our CPO, for example, in back alley with the light on, making sure that nothing was happening. But in that instance, should folks be calling the RCMP through dispatch, or should they be contacting a different number?
So it depends on the situation. For any bylaw matters, absolutely contact us. We're not necessarily on shift, but we will respond to those complaints when we are. For any criminal activity, definitely contact the RCMP, and we'll work with the RCMP if we're available to help to assist in those aspects. But anything criminal code and suspicious activity should be contacted to the RCMP on their non-emergency number.
Thank you very much. And again, this is somebody that was very pleasantly pleased to see people paying attention and making sure that Vegreville residents were a little bit more protected after our traditional available hours. So great to see.
So if I can continue on with that, on Councillor Rudick's questioning, we are doing a pilot project for the summer to find out where our areas could improve with traffic enforcement and bylaws as well. You know, we do get a few bylaw calls after hours that mostly concern about dog barking or dog complaints, dogs at large. But we do see the speeds as well. We issued just on Saturday alone $2,000 worth of fines in a 10-hour shift and over $3,000 in warnings in that same shift. So there is an increased presence for our officers, and we're doing our best to mitigate that. But we're hoping that the community does see us in a positive light and that we are out there. And we're not letting the community know when we're out there, but we will be out there.
Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
I just had a comment about the green light program. Actually, one of the calls in the past few weeks, I seen the green light flashing in my rearview mirror, and it took me a minute. I was like, oh, hang on, the green light program, pull over. How's that been going? Has there been any comments from the members with the green light program? And maybe we should shoot it out on social media again, because it's something that's not in the back of your head all the time.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Bullock. We do actually do a campaign quarterly, reminding our residents of what the Green Light program is, and the C department really helps us out with that and providing that. We also put out on our own Facebook page regarding the Green Light program. The only incidents that we've had recently on the Green Light program is a resident stopped a firefighter, stopped their vehicle right in front of them while they were responding to an emergency and asking them what that meant. They calmly explained everything. They were allowed to proceed. Was the civilian in the right to stop somebody? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, we handled it in a professional manner. The Green Light program, depending on it's not mandatory, so it's optional for our members to participate in. They do find it beneficial, but a lot of cases, you know, they don't know what the green light is. We've had one member stopped at a red light because they are unable to proceed through any traffic laws, and everybody stops waiting for him to go. Right, so he has to wait for that light to change green before he can proceed. It's a courtesy light that we remind people that we do have an emergency. Members are to abide by the Traffic Safety Act while responding to an emergency, and we ask them to pull over to let the member proceed to the fire hall safely.
Okay, right on. Good explanation.
Thank you so much for your update, Manager Newton.
Thank you, Mayor McPhee. I hope you have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Next up, Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Worship. We have correspondence that was emailed to us. The subject is disabled street parking sign for 5634 50th Street from Don Purcell. To whom it may concern, I was at Town Hall today trying to get information on getting a disabled parking sign for the street in front of my house. The woman I spoke with told me that I needed to send my request in writing. I am legally disabled and require the space in front of my home to be marked for disabled parking because currently people are leaving me no room to park in front of my house, which makes it very difficult for me to use my vehicle. I am unable to walk long distances due to my disability. I would appreciate your attention in this matter. Regards, Don Purcell. And as you can see, he has attached a photo of front of his house. He called us. He did request that we put the sign up, and we informed him that any requests like this are generally, they go to council, especially if we're going to take up a parking stall for this purpose, or loading, unloading, whatever. Council makes a decision. So the correspondence is not addressed to council, but when we talked to him, that's what his intent was to send this to council.
Go ahead.
So 2 questions. We have not, while I've been on council, had a request from a residence looking for disabled parking, but we have had several requests while I've been on council for school zone, for restricting access in front of the old CPC, for example, as well as disabled access downtown. I wonder if we have the capacity in our bylaw to be able to manage this request, and subsequent to that, do we also have a reevaluation? For example, we had changed the parking restriction in front of CPC based on bus access. Things have changed, maybe that's no longer relevant. Similarly, downtown, there's been feedback after the new parking stall was installed that perhaps that wasn't the best location, and it was on the basis of one of the banking institutions that asked for it for their customers. So those are my 2 questions. Do we have the capacity to field a question like this from a residence? And secondly, do we reevaluate? So for example, if this was to sell in the future or this individual moved, that it wouldn't be there for time immemorial, that we would have an ability to reevaluate and go through and assess whether or not what existed 5 years ago, 10 years ago still exists today as a reality.
Traditionally, these requests have come to council for the handicap parking requests. They are reevaluated, not on a process where it's in a calendar and every year we go reevaluate. When we receive feedback from the public or staff, then we'll reevaluate, such as the parking at CPC on 55th Avenue. It was no parking on one side permanent, and on the other side between 8 and 4:30 you couldn't park. And then once CPC moved on, then we reevaluated by request of a town employee and felt that, yeah, we could leave parking on one side always and remove some of the restriction, but allowing some control because there's still a lot of bus traffic on that street.
So, Mr. Purcell has access to the rear alley. Does he have a rear driveway?
I don't know that.
Because there is a lot of people that have handicap placards hanging on the rear view mirrors. If we were to go and place handicap parking in front of every one of those houses in Vegreville, it would get pretty extreme.
Well, and that's exactly was my question was going to be, is how many we have. I certainly feel for it, and I feel like it's very sad, some of what I see people do on streets, and the fact that nobody gives any respect to ever thinking about people that's their house or whatnot. But I also know we've had this somewhat similar, not a request like this, but talk about parking in front, and the answer we've given our residents every time is there is no actual designated parking that is yours in front of the street. So if we were going to look at this, I think that we would almost be in a position of not necessarily being able to do a one-off because of exactly what you mentioned in open. We would almost need to have some sort of bylaw in place stating how many or something. I don't even know what that would look like. But I mean, at this point right now, we have several people in the community that are in wheelchairs. So they're even in a different disability, unable to do any walking, unlike what this is stated. And they don't have, unless I'm wrong, and Dale, you can correct me for sure, Director Lefebvre, you can correct me, but it's just a very hard one. In that we cannot, I think, do it as a one-off. We would either have to discuss if there's some mechanism for putting it more so in a bylaw and a process for applying, but I could be wrong. Maybe we have a bunch in town that I don't know of.
Well, if they didn't have access to a rear alley and somebody, it's like we all know that every time that you pull up someplace and you see somebody with handicap parking, not always, but we've seen it a lot, somebody with handicap parking displayed on their rearview mirror, they jump out and run into a store, they use that parking spot. If we were to do this for Don, Mr. Purcell, I think there would be a lot of signs that would be going up all over our community. So I don't know on public roads that we could do something like this. I know over at the apartment building, we gave them permission to put up their own sign. said that the town would be agreeance if they wanted to have a no parking in front of their doors, then if they put up their own sign, we'd agree to it. But it wasn't for a handicap.
No.
And again, I've been down that alley many times, and I just can't remember exactly what is behind this property, but you think that maybe the rear
The CAO just had a look at Google, and there's a garage and a driveway in the back.
a garage and a driveway, yeah. So again, go ahead, Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, what this is leading to is a little bit more like what has happened in the city of Edmonton in some areas, particularly over towards the university area where they basically have a parking ban, and for a long time, in order to park in front of your own place, you had to get a permit. And that was free, but now I think it's quite expensive to actually park in front of your own place in some areas of both Edmonton and Calgary. I wouldn't want to start leaning towards that area in town. But that is my concern, is it's a little difference in having a handicap stall at a business or near something where a lot of people come and go. And it's convenient, but to take up a parking spot on a residential street, which means that it would be there permanently and it'd be 24/7. I don't know. It's starting to lean towards that idea of having the residents have to have a permit to park in front of their own place, which then means that nobody else can park there neither. And that's, a population of 6,000, I don't think that's very friendly. So I'm just not certain that this can work without resulting in my favorite term, a slippery slope.
Okay, well, again, this property has access to an alley, has a driveway and a garage behind it. So, again, we just open ourselves up. There's a lot of seniors in our town that have mobility issues, and if we did this for one, we would have to offer the same thing to everybody. Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
With parking on the streets on any residential anything, is there a specified time limit? I can't remember that they have to move.
If I may interject, the Alberta Traffic Safety Act and the town traffic bylaw does state you have to move a vehicle every 72 hours.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Rudy.
So just, sorry, just to go back then, so the process will remain, regardless of this particular example, is if somebody has a request for a disabled parking stall, they need to come to council through our departments to be able to make that request.
That is correct, and then we've done that with crosswalks, with stop signs, yield signs, anything like that. And then council then can receive or get feedback, or we can for council from RCMP, from different bodies, so we know we're making an informed decision.
Okay, and sorry, follow-up question to that would be then, so in this instance, and so this is sort of alluding to the undertone of a few questions that have been posed here by other councillors, just because we've had this issue in the past where people are parking in front of their house, but it's a public roadway and nobody owns the street in front of their house, even though you might feel like you do and prefer to park there. In the instance that this happens repeatedly and this gentleman has a concern, is there some way for him to lodge his concern? If they're not parked for 72 hours blocking his sidewalk up to his house, for example?
Yes, Councillor Rudick, if there is any parking concerns, they can reach out to our office through our 24-hour complaint line, and we'll investigate that. But just because they said it's been there for 3 days, the clock starts fresh with us because we have to determine that vehicle hasn't moved. But again, when I say move, it can move 6 inches, and it's moved.
Yeah, let's try not to confuse the request here. The request here is legitimate is what he's asking for, is to designate one spot in front of his house because he has mobility issues and he can't walk long distances. Go ahead, Director Lefebvre.
Just a point as well, when you have a handicap, let's say there's a handicap spot in front of his house, it's not his. Handicap spots are for anybody that qualifies with the DECO, right?
And typically, when we designate these, we don't pick up the bill for the sign each or anything like that. Councilor Lemko, any thoughts?
I echo all the comments that have been made. It's unfortunate that this individual has disability, that he needs access. It's a challenge on all our streets. I get calls regarding somebody parking in front of my house. I'm not saying my house, but if somebody's saying that they live across the street and they're parking another vehicle across the street in front of their property. And they're very frustrated by that. And unfortunately, the case, it involves good neighbors, but it's public land, public access. So you can ask my mother. When she was alive, there was somebody parking in her thing, and she thought she owned it. And so she came to Councillor Lemko. I had to tell Mom. Yep, it's tough.
Okay, so I don't know where to go to next. I mean, we've heard from a couple that I don't think this is a request that we can honor, like that we can fulfill, because I just think that first of all there would just be a flood of people looking to have this. So go ahead.
I do believe you mentioned the fact, Director Lefebvre, that this gentleman has access in the back alley to a driveway and a garage. And I wonder if he parks his car in there or what it is during any other time of the year. It just opens up a whole can of worms all over the whole community regarding private parking in front of your house. That's all I have.
Okay, well, it looks like the decision of council will be to say no to this request just based on, you know, what it would mean to the rest of the community and other people. So hopefully that Mr. Purcell will be able to figure something out that he can get in and out of his driveway in the back, and we'll move on. Okay, next one.
Thank you, Worship. We have a subdivision application, 25-162-004, Block 72, Plan L XXX. The proposal is to review subdivision application 25-162-004 and approve the process to proceed. The background: on May 15th, 2025, Planning Development received an application for a subdivision approval to subdivide the lot, when we get it, Block 72, Plan L XXX, into two parcels. The total lot size is approximately 1.4 acres, and the applicant wants to subdivide half an acre of vacant land for future additional 12 units. See attached. Communication strategy is a level 2 to inform. Once approved to proceed with the process, the subdivision authority officer will, as per the Municipal Government Act, send notification of the subdivision application to the government departments, persons, and local authorities as required by the subdivision and development regulation, the adjacent landowners, and post on the town's website and social media. Our options are: number 1, town council review the subdivision application and approve the process to proceed. Option 2 is town council to deny the request. I'm sure everyone's had a chance to go through the attachments. We've got the application for subdivision approval. Information has been completed, and then an aerial for you as to the location. So that's 48 8th Street and 60th Avenue at the top, with the Jehovah's Witness Church just on the bottom of the page. And then just the last attachment is just it's going to look something like this.
Everybody's aware of what this property is, right? Okay, so this will come to Monday's meeting?
It will come to Monday's meeting in the form of a RCD, as it is now just a memorandum.
Yep, so we'll go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just trying to figure out how many units is he looking at building right now on one half?
It contradicts. At one point, it's saying 16, and another point, it says 12. The
Okay.
application form itself says 16, but he mentions 12 in the RCD. So I'm assuming by looking at the information we have so far, which is preliminary, is that we're duplicating what's to the west, or these four. And there are four units per. So if he's gonna have 3, that would be 12 of them. That would make sense. But I do see the 16 in there, but that is neither here nor there for the subdivision.
I was just trying to figure out how do you fit 16 in there. That's what,
Yeah.
'cause it's, anyway, thank you.
Any other questions? Anything you need to know before Monday? Okay, thank you very much. Next up, Director Saskew.
Thank you, Worship. I have here a capital and operating grant update. So we've received a letter from the minister. That's the second attachment. We'll bring that for receive and file next week. But I thought now is a great time to give you an update on where all of our grants are sitting. So you can note that LGFF operating grant for the last 3 years has been 101, 106. This is stemming back from our MSI operating grant, which was doubled in the final 2 years of MSI. It used to be the 50,533. So they have maintained that. I'm assuming also for 2026. I've not been told otherwise. So in our 2026 budget that gets presented in the coming months, we will put 101, 106 as our operating. Actually, we do have that confirmed in the operating grant on their website. And then capital, we have 944,849 for 2024, 1,070,954 for 2025, and $1,033,407 for 2026. So 2025 capital grant budget for all grants is as follows. So we have the CCBF grant, which is the road building grant. So that's the old LG, or no, what the heck was it called? BMTG grants is now CCBF. So that is for specifically roads, has more constrictions on what we can spend money on, versus LGFF, we can also use it for purchasing of equipment and fire and other things such as that. And then the STIP grant was the one that we had applied for, the airport overlay, which we weren't successful for, so we won't be spending that money this year. So moving right along, I have some highlights here. So the rubber tire backhoe has been delivered at a cost of $258,600, so slightly less than the $275 budget. The sewer cleaning truck has also been delivered at a cost of $470,278. This is also just for the straight purchases of the vehicles. As of these invoices that I have detailed, they're not deckled up, there's not lights, there's not. So yes, we're below budget, but we might be closer to the budget once we get these vehicles fully equipped. So just keep that in mind. The airport overlay has not been approved, is a project in 2025 by the grant funding, so this will not be completed without the approved grant. The project to pave cold mix roads will be undertaken this summer. The plan is to pave 44 Avenue from 49th Street to 50th Street. So that has been submitted to our grant authorities as a project, and hopefully it will be approved shortly, because as far as payment goes, we have received the 2024 LGFF allocation. That was 944,849. We received it after year end. We actually received it April 24th of this year. The 2025 project we have not yet received. We're waiting for our projects to be approved in our portal before they'll release payment. So these have been in since March. There was one that was also submitted in May. We expect to have an update on these projects in the coming weeks with payment to follow, but as of right now, we do not have this year's LGFF funds. And as you can see, the rubber tire backhoe and the sewer cleaning truck are both being paid out of LGFF, but you can see we do have some carry forward from last year. So we haven't, long story short, we haven't spent money that we haven't received yet, but with this year's projects at Bay, we will need all of our LGFF payments before we are, so to say, in the red. The 2025 CCBF allocation of 381,425 has also not been received. Those projects have been submitted, but once again have not been accepted. Once accepted, we can expect payment of the 2025 allocation. So with the federal election, I think there was a bit of pause in even some of our provincial offices, even for my they're called SFEs, so it's the reporting that I have to do on these grants every year after we do our audit. The couple projects from 2024 were still not approved, and it was like the second the election was done, they said that it was at the minister's office. They approved them, and then I was able to submit, like it was a day after the deadline, but they had granted me an extension because our projects were still not approved. So there is a bit of a delay, and I hope this would be rectified by the end of June is my goal. I'll be on top of them, so. And that is all I have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a letter from Chamber of Commerce regarding the 50th anniversary of the Pysanka. On behalf of the Vegreville Pysanka 50th Anniversary Planning Committee, I'm writing to formally request the town's support and assistance in facilitating successful celebration of this historical milestone. The 50th anniversary of the iconic Vegreville Pysanka is a monumentous occasion on July 26th. What day of the week is that? 2025. We are planning a committee-wide celebration to be held at Pysanka Park to ensure the success and the accessibility for the event. We respectfully request the following support from the town. Use of Pysanka Park on the day of the event for the celebration, activities, and community gathering. Town staff assisting on the day of the event. For there to be 2 staff members to assist the committee with such tasks as garbage collection, filling toilet paper in washrooms, as well as porta potties on site, set up and take down, and possible traffic direction. Designation of campsites 51 and 60 in the adjacent campground as handicap parking, reserved exclusively for attendees with accessibility needs. Placement of barricades and signage to limit vehicle access on Pysanka Avenue, allowing only entry to handicapped vehicles and buses transporting attendees. Financial support. We understand that we would not typically qualify for the town's local sports and event hosting grant as we are a one-day event, but we ask for an exception to be made for this momentous event 50 years in the making. The Pysanka has put Vegreville on the map and has been a key tourism in our town for 50 years. Please see the attached document for sponsorship levels for cash and in-kind combined. We believe these measures will help ensure an inclusive, safe, and enjoyable celebration for all residents and visitors. We are committed to working closely with the town administration and staff to coordinate details and ensure compliance with all local guidelines and safety protocols. Thank you for considering this request. Okay, have we committed to putting up porta potties? We have not, correct?
As far as I know, there has been no formal ask of the chamber as of yet. This is their ask. And I don't think we were asked about porta potties other than helping change toilet paper in them.
Okay. Go ahead, James.
Sorry, I can weigh in on this conversation slightly because I met with Mrs. Steinwand last week. The chamber will be putting up the porta potties, but what they're asking for is the additional manpower to kind of, I guess, supervise the area to ensure, yes, as CAO Ling was suggesting, you know, making sure that they're adequately cleaned and stocked and so on and so forth, because they don't have a lot of actual staff manpower that will be able to do that. That was, I believe, the request, but I don't think they're requiring the town to put the porta potties out.
Okay, so the designation of campsites 51 and 60, are they usually rented, those two campsites?
At the end of the day, they very well could be, but I mean, in order to facilitate parking, we'd actually already blocked those off, just as a precaution. So right now, you cannot rent those through our online portal. Obviously, if council is not in favor of that, we'll make them available. But I mean, to me, it does make sense to be able to facilitate that parking.
So even at some other events we're hosting there this year, that land directly east of the pond, is that town-owned land between the hospital and Altoy?
Not on the road though, we're landlocked, it's farther to the east.
So would we be able to use that for parking, the whole thing?
Pretty good ditch to get that in there.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Riddick.
I'm interested in seeing what is happening on that day. I don't know that I've had an invitation or information about what events are happening that day, so that would be helpful for me personally, but I also think for the community to know what's planned for that day, because we're just 2 months out. Supporting the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Pisinka seems like obviously something the town is interested in doing, so we'll look forward to figuring out if we're picking a dollar amount or picking tasks that we're able to do within our capacity during the summer to be able to support the celebration. I look forward to hearing more details.
So that wasn't a question.
That was a statement.
Okay. Okay. Who else? Councillor Bullock.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing as well about the events and what's planned for the day, going forward, I'm sure we're probably gonna, or in my opinion, I think it would be wise to support what's going on. We just gotta know what we're supporting, what the ask is and stuff, because, yes, the Pisinka has definitely been an attraction for the town, and can't deny it. It brings a lot of people to this town, so I'm sure we're gonna definitely look at supporting in a big way, even myself personally.
Okay, so event hosting grant. Does anybody want to start going down this road of making an exception? Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Worship. Well, I think I would look at figuring out how we could finance otherwise, because according to our update we had today, the local sports and events hosting grant is quite heavily committed already, and we haven't even approached June. So I don't know whether there's funds there, but I totally support this, and I can't see why we shouldn't be able to find some other way to sponsor and help this out. If I could just get an answer maybe as to just where we are committed on that, because I'm not anxious to make an exception for something that we're looking at local sports and events being hosted in town. But I think that we should be able to come up with some sponsorship in another way to help them out.
Okay.
I totally support.
So as we go down the list, number one, use of Pisinka Park. Is anybody against that?
It's easy.
Town staff assistance.
I have a question about that one.
Go ahead.
So would that be, and James, I'm sorry, I'm looking at you, and this, I'm just not sure if you'll know the answer to it. Would this be additional to what we already have at the park? So the park staff that we have there would continue doing the things they do, or are we closing down our own assets that are usually like, okay.
Through your worship to Councillor, there was no talk of the Vic being closed. So we would still need our staff to do what our staff are typically doing. Now, the one conversation that did come up would be the potential of limiting, or having boat rentals available by reservation because, you know, you can assume that that could probably be a very popular attraction well in advance of that date. That we've not yet formally had that conversation. But to answer your question, we were planning on having our staff man the Visitor Information Center, which includes their regular responsibilities, assisting with the mini golf, assisting with the paddle boats. Ice cream is obviously, you know, taking up quite a bit of staff time as well. So this request would be above and beyond what we had already allocated for that day. Certainly that was sort of my department's thoughts on it.
Okay, the placement of barricades and allowing only entry to handicap vehicles and buses. So this would be over and above these other two staff members that were committing to do these other tasks, that we would be moving barricades. Is that the way we should be looking at this?
The way I sort of had the conversation and the way I understood it from Mrs. Steinwan was two staff would likely be sufficient from the town of Vegreville standpoint, to assist with everything included in that letter. Be it, you know, can we have an occasional check on porta potties and, you know, the occasional tidy up, the occasional restocking. That staff, you know, we certainly wouldn't place them adjacent to the porta potties. They could be roving, so they're helping with barricades. Essentially, from what I understand this request to be, they're asking for two bodies that are paid for by the town of Vegreville to put it bluntly, work for the chamber for this event, to be the rovers for the event, because they have one paid employee, being obviously the manager, who unfortunately is not going to be in attendance for this event because she has a wedding that day. So it's about having paid staff on site that can work at the direction of the chamber that is essentially being footed by the town of Vegreville.
Okay, so we got some clarity there. So we're not asking for any more staff to move the barricades. They're hoping one will be there, I guess. So it comes down to the financial support, and again, the exception for that event hosting grant of being less than only 1 day. I don't think we go near that. So what we need to do is pick a sponsorship level that we feel comfortable at. Councillor Bullock.
Then I think we should be a platinum sponsor.
I just have a question on that then. With platinum sponsorship, are we saying the full financial minimum and then all of our in-kind stuff is in addition, or are we saying the platinum sponsorship minus the cost of the in-kind? And I'm just asking that because just, you know, there would be two paid employees and the sites 51 to 60 being, you know, say 2 days of non-rental on that. I just, so that we're clear what we're funding.
I'd be okay with all the in-kind plus a 2,000.
I would be in favor of the platinum and all the in-kind because I think the number of tourists that stop there on a regular basis every year more than compensates what we're supporting in order to be able to support this. I mean, the Pasanka, the egg, probably is the biggest attraction for people stopping at that site. And I think our anniversary of it is going to attract even more people coming to take a look at it now and into the future. So I don't think that's a really large ask to look at 2,000 plus the in-kind, in my opinion.
Okay. Councillor Lemko, you know the king's not coming, you know that, right?
Yeah, well, I have just under the financial support letter of request, it does say, please see the attached document for sponsorship levels for cash and in-kind combined. So if we go to the platinum sponsor of 2,000 and above, we would be supporting them. Great. I have no problem with platinum sponsorship, as that Sanka will draw a lot of people in on that day. and it draws a lot of people for the last number of years. And if we look at numbers in the tens of thousands annually attracted there, I think this is worth our platinum sponsorship.
Go ahead, Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that too, cash and in-kind combined. I mean, as long as we're somewhere over that 2,000 or value, I'm good with it. We'd have to see how much our in-kind all works out to be as well too, but I'm good.
Okay. Don't be sorry, it's your turn.
I'm curious to know what the day's events will look like, because that would also help frame what it is that we're providing. So happy to be generously supporting. Again, given the fact that we support the chamber annually with a generous grant to be able to capitalize on the egg, and we want to make sure that that Pacinka continues to be there. We've taken on the maintenance, which seems like maybe not a big deal, but it is kind of a big deal to make sure that that's going to be taken care of in perpetuity, because it is synonymous with Vegreville now. So happy to support the suggested amount that other council members have come forward. Feels comfortable to me, but again, I'd be curious to know what the day looks like. If there's, they've been specific here in their asks, and it would be helpful to know how big of a event it is.
So, I mean,
Well, you might know.
I might know. So it hasn't changed a lot from the last couple times we reported on it. It's pretty much, they're keeping it within the day. They're not extending it past the day. They'll start off with the pancake breakfast. There's some fine tuning that was still coming out in the last meetings, but they will start with pancake breakfast. Then from there, around, this time might have changed prior to that, it was after 11:30, I think, right in there. They would do like an official opening ceremonies with some dignitaries. That would be kept quite short as to that part. And then it would branch into an afternoon of just being able to encourage people to stay in the park. So there would be farmers markets, some food trucks brought in on one side so that people could go to the food trucks during the day, and then entertainment throughout the day. So they have one bigger group coming in with multiple performers after that, some Ukrainian dancing, some singing. They had still had, I think at the last report, there was 3 or 4 spots open, but that's the idea, is that it won't branch into a night beer gardens dance type of event. It will be a come to the park for the day kind of event.
Okay, well,
Unless Jameson's got some different. Okay.
I guess that's the direction we're going. Okay, perfect. Okay, next up, round table. Start with Councilor Rawawa.
I actually had one phone call, and it has already been dealt with. It was, of course, we went through a little bit of fast grow on some, grass in different areas. We had a late start with some of our summer students because of, Canada Summer Jobs came in pretty late, and we seemed to have a few starts there, but I think that the area was being dealt with. It was just some notice around the cemetery, but from what I've seen, it's already gone, and that's the only call I got.
Okay. Councilor Bullock.
Your worship, I have nothing.
Councilor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. The only thing that's been brought to my attention is there does seem to be 1 or 2 individuals wandering around through town, down the back alleys and et cetera, and dumpster diving and checking out backyards. It's just in a few areas that they seem to be poking around, and I think that with our constable, or with the update we just got today, maybe some attention of our bylaw is going to be looking into some of that too. So I think it's an opportunity that they'll probably come across these people at various times of the day and check things out.
Usually not in the middle of the day. No, they're usually sleeping in the middle of the day. Councilor Lemke.
I echo Councillor Bullock. I have nothing.
Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. I did have one phone call. It was around concern. We do have a camera up at the splash park. We're trying to catch people sabotaging and destroying, vandalism at the park. And they just wanted to ensure that it was one of our cameras and not somebody else doing something incorrect. So I remembered it, but I wanted to check with CAO Ling before I said so. She provided me the information that parks will come and check and erase data, and then we'll use it if there's ever any vandalism there. So that's what it's up there for, to try and catch some of these people that have been doing some of the vandalism. So I think that's it.
Okay. Councillor Rudick.
I had a few, actually. A couple of them have been actioned by Director Saskew, and the question or the praise for our community peace officer and RCMP being very present on the weekends and later in the evening to ensure that there's some more eyes on our back alleys and our streets. So those are compliments and thanks for that. I did have a question about full accounting of the museum and the sale therein from somebody, wondering where we are with being able to present that information to the public in terms of where things went and all that. I said that I know that Councillor Berry and his assistants on the town staff have been very detailed and would be able to share that at some point. And then I just wanted to bring forward the question to this table. We were fortunate to have grade 6 students from Ale Horton come and ask some very extensive, insightful questions, but one of the questions that was asked there that might be nice for our public to be able to hear is about tree planting. What our process is in terms of deciding where, when, and what we're planting for trees, and what kind of budget allocation we have towards that.
Well, I thought the most important question was when Councillor Bullock was grilled about why he doesn't have his ice cream stand anymore. I've had quite a few calls. Some are good, some are bad. One that was a big highlight was a resident that is very belligerent and his vocabulary is very limited. He keeps blaming us for his bank's mistake in not paying his taxes last year on time. Anyway, he was in our facility last week and he has a full facility band. And I don't know how he got in but I know we don't have pictures up at the front desk, but anybody that does has a band, a full facility band, I would like for our employees to be able to recognize them and not spend any time in being screamed at. If there's some way we could move that process ahead, that if we could just have some pictures of people that aren't, so the employees know that this person has a facility band and doesn't have to stand there and take that type of abuse that's coming forward. So, other than that, most of the comments were all good, and there is a mail strike coming, but I would imagine on Director Saskew's report we're going to hear about where we're at with our tax notices and assessment notice. So that's all I have. So we'll go down that road right now. We're going to start with Director Lefebvre's highlights.
Just a couple items. The subdivision application for file number 25 TOW002. Basically, that's the town's land, and that is the phase 1, part 2 of Foxview. So the subdivision approval board has approved the application and will now have the developer move forward with the survey work and start the survey, the plan, and then submission to land titles. So that's moving on its way. New Edges back in town, they did the Forest Main project rehab and the lift station upgrade. They're back just doing some landscaping, some cleanup, signs, the last little bits of stuff. As you know, they finished last year and the snow was upon us, so they were back now to tidy up and clean up. And Circular Materials now has the town's and their master service agreement. We'll agree to that. What is changed in it? The curbside collection, they have everything that we need verbally. We're in agreement. They're going to make the draft changes and send it back to us. And same with the processing for our VMRF. So with our virtual meetings, we're in agreement and now we wait for them to change the draft and send it back for signing. So if everything comes back as per verbally agreed on, we should be good to sign. So.
Any questions? Okay, Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. As we had noted earlier, our 2025 assessment and property tax notices were mailed on May 8th, 2025. As per the guidelines, the assessment date is 7 business days from the mailing date. So as for what we follow, set by our provincial government, 7 business days, including the day that things are mailed, they are considered received. So we do not need to worry about any impending postal strikes. So our mailing date was May 8th. Our assessment date is officially May 16th. So everybody should have received their assessment notices by now, or they're deemed received, and is the responsibility of the taxpayer to reach out to us if they didn't receive their copy, or we can always reprint or email for them as well. So a couple of other items on that. Our taxes are due June 30th. They can be paid via cash, debit, check at our main office. We also accept e-transfers and credit card payments. Credit card is only via option pay on our website with the fee built in. So at all times, we are collecting 100% of the property taxes owed to us and are not paying for credit card fees at this time. We also have our tip program. So if you have not signed up for monthly installments yet, June and May are great times to do it. So your bill is $3,000. In June, you pay $1,500, and you have the remainder of the year to pay that $1,500. It's split up in 6 equal installments. So very good program to sign up for, and then you get that little catch up, and then you just have your monthly payments in perpetuity. So we'll continue to collect the payments in January to June, and then next July we'll adjust for any differences in the tax rate. So that is something that's really good for taxpayers to sign up for if they don't take advantage of having their tax payments taken off with their bank, especially if they don't have mortgages. Another thing that we have is the Honorable Jackie Armstrong-Hominiuk announced that the town of Vegreville will receive additional grant funding through the Alberta Municipal Water Wastewater Partnership Program. So that cost escalation is $854,608. So she shared it on Twitter and Facebook recently. So we just wanted to make sure the council is aware that these additional funds will be used to fund increases in prices for the cost escalation for the force main. So those are the differences between tender to completion. Our borrowing bylaw from 2023 allows for $2.5 million of a debenture withdrawal for the completion of the project. And with these additional grant funds, we'll be seeing savings of $854,608 in what we don't need to draw in a debenture now. So that is significant savings to the town for repayment, as well as interest payments over the term of the 30 years of the loan. Note that our actual costs are coming in very close to our 2023 budget of $3.8 million. So there's actually a little extra savings. So instead of the $4.1 million being the total project cost, we're looking at 3.8. So that looks to be a $1.3 million debenture. So to be precise, $1,345,392. So that is significantly less than $2.5 million. So another good news story for the town. We will know specifically how much we have to pull in a debenture once I submit the funds through the program. Our government contact there, I'll get her to pre-approve everything, and then once everything is approved and said and done, I'll pull the debenture. And debenture rates have been great. We got the 0.5 decrease as a result of Alberta municipalities lobbying for us to get the favorable government grants again. And as we know, bond rates are a little bit volatile right now, but they have slightly declined since last year. So that with the 0.5%, we are looking much better than we did if I would have pulled this in December. And that's all I've got.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you guys got ahead of the postal strike. I'm just wondering, and I understand that it seems somewhat crazy to ask this question because we all, as homeowners, should be well aware that you get yearly tax notices. But do we, somewhere on our website, have a thing like saying all tax notices are out and received. If you didn't get yours, reminder, it's your responsibility to come get them. And the only reason is because we seem to have people who come up surprised when they get a tax notice suddenly, or when they haven't received one yearly. I personally have always known from the time that I've had a house that I'm going to get yearly taxes, but I'm just wondering what we have on our website for that.
Yes, we actually have that on the very first line. So property tax bills were sent out through mail and or email Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Property owners who have not received their property tax bill by the first week of June must email propertytaxes@vegreville.com. That is the very first line that you read on vegreville.com/p/taxes. So, and that they're due Monday, June 30th, 2025. And that's what all our correspondence says. So taxes are due June 30th. If you haven't received your notice, contact us.
Okay, thank you. CAO highlights, I think we're having a meeting after this meeting with you, so we'll go through, or you got some right now?
Oh, I do have two quick ones that I can give council.
Yep.
Just to let council know that the FRN and FCSS have secured a location in the Galleria Mall. So the FRN is, they're starting to pack up and they're starting to move over there, and they should be operational out of the Galleria Mall beginning of July. And we have been advertising for a municipal policing committee members to join, and as of now, we've received one application. So it's getting some traction, so.
Might have been the guy that's been phoning me.
So, just to the public, if they are interested, the application process is on our website, and please apply.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay, so the upcoming events, we have the public hearing Monday night regarding the rezoning of the property between the Cemetery and Sunshine Club. Have we, anybody asked to speak? Do we have anybody set up that wants to speak at the public hearing?
We have received approximately 5 written comments,
Okay.
but not yet a request to speak.
Okay. For those of
That
us.
meeting's at 6:30, just for everybody knows.
6:30, yeah. The FCM conference starts on Thursday, right? That's the 29th? Okay. The Customer Appreciation Barbecue at the Recreation Center. What customer is this?
June is Parks and Recreation Month. So it started last year, I think, or the year before. They've been putting on a customer appreciation barbecue for the members, the pass holders and stuff
Oh, I
like
see
that.
it, yeah.
So yeah, it's a great turnout. They do a sale on their aquatic and fitness passes, and they have public swim. It's a great afternoon.
Barbecue before you work out.
Hopefully not.
Sweet. And then our Ledge meeting, council meeting. And then on June 11th, there's the Edible Orchard grand opening at Pasenka Park. Who's got information on that?
Actually, I think Leslie will have that information, yes.
Yeah, so we had a grant from Tree Canada to plant an edible orchard at Pasenka Park. We successfully. Thank you. So we got a grant from Tree Canada to plant an edible orchard at Pasenka Park. We successfully planted 80 fruiting trees and shrubs. That was last year in September 2024. Of course, winter has happened, so we didn't want to do a grand opening during that season. So we're excited to invite council. We're inviting schools, senior groups, our MLA out to see the fruits of our labor. Haha, you like that?
Nice. Okay, is there any other business of council at this time? I see we have one closed session item. So could I get a motion? Councillor Bullock makes the motion at 4:39. All those in favor? Carried.